I got really emotional because in 1995, my father went to a similar way just to cross the water so I could be safe growing up in the Netherlands. So just wanted to say that. Now, I am from Kurdistan, Iraqi Kurdistan, in the Middle East, a place with all kinds of identities, ethnicities, sects, and religion. It is a place that the relationships of these different kinds of people is very tense. The relationship is characterized by politics and war. Now, I think that neither war nor politics can really bring peace to the region, especially with corrupted politicians and warlords who are filling the region from all sides. So the key thing is to look at a point of common interest that can bring the people together. And I think that key is art and culture. But again, the warlords and the politicians aren't really investing enough in art and culture. So it's people like us who are struggling, especially with peace projects, art projects that can be achieved in one day. You cannot create an art project and create peace between the Kurds and the Arabs in one day. However, what is happening is that you can see that you are planting seeds for a better future. So it's important to see that. And sorry, just going to next project. And if you look at the people in the Middle East, especially in Iraq, we disagree, all of us. We disagree on our identity, on our lands, we disagree on our present, on our past. But there is one thing that we all agree on, and that's a beautiful piece of art, a beautiful song. So I hope that one day it eventually can lead to a place where we can all smile in one language. Now, this is from last April, where we created a street gallery and highlighted 100 strong women around the world. Women that proved that by being a part of societies and nations and countries that they can shift the world to a better place. We not only highlighted strong women, influential women around the world, we also highlighted Iraqi, Arabs, Kurds, Yazidis, Assyrians, and they all gathered over there. They became friends, they joined forces together. And this is another picture in Lebanon. She's from Yemen, from Syria, me, Kurdistan, Iraq, and she's from Libya, all activists from the region. And I think that our activism is geared towards creating a better mood, a better atmosphere, creating an understanding of accepting the other. Now, you cannot expect the outcome immediately, but what you can expect is that we are able to work on creating better conditions for negotiations, better conditions for dialogue. We are creating a way to talk to one another, to getting to know one another. And these are all efforts towards building bridges, towards getting communities together. Sorry, just back. And I think that art projects provide that alternative. One of the recent examples is ISIS. Now, their relationship with the other is death. It's either we kill them or they kill us. Their ideology is we or you. And I think that the component of art projects take away that code of people like ISIS. Now, this is very recent, 1 week ago in northeast Syria. As I'm standing here talking to you, there is a humanitarian crisis unfolding. The Turkish army with backed rebels who are ISIS-like types are attacking the northeast of Syria. At the moment, according to UN, 180,000 people are displaced, including 80,000 children. Now, what Turkey wants at the moment is replacing millions of Arabs who fled the war in other parts of Syria to replace them in the Kurdish part. This by itself is planting seeds of a long-term conflict by displacing hundreds of thousands and then placing a complete area. Now, I would like to talk about how I try as an activist, as a music artist, to use art and music and stories to build bridges of peace in Iraq. Now, this is the Kurdish exodus in 1991. I was there. I was here between all of these people. When the Saddam's regime were starting their campaign on wiping out the Kurds, all I could remember was how I could pack my dolls, and my mom was calling for me, and then go into the truck and go into the mountains. The next day when I woke up, the only thing I could see was a place with all people and children crying, and I couldn't really understand what was going on. But what I do remember is that the children I used to play with, they used to become less and less. So one day I saw a girl being in a white robe, and they were just putting her into the ground. And I said, "Dad, what are they doing with her?" And he said, "They're just playing with her. There is nothing going on." So this war did not only take away my friends, my neighborhood, but it also took away education from a 5-year-old girl. I was stranded in those mountains for months in the cold and hunger. And I remember in 1997, there was this lovely lady, she had blonde hair and blue eyes, and she had a UNICEF bag, and she picked us up. And it was the first time I saw an airport and not fearing an airplane. And I looked at her and I thought, oh my God, I just want to be just like her. We went to Holland, thanks to my father, who went through a tremendous trip of 15 times trying to cross the border, swimming between Turkey and Greece for 15 times, being beaten up in each place he arrived. Now that I grew up, my dream came true. I started to work with UNICEF in Iraq. Now, this is the part where my music comes in. That's my days when I used to be a pop star. Not anymore. Back in the days, as a modern progressive pop star in a region, male-dominant society, there wasn't much room for my work, for my music, but nevertheless, I thrived. So, despite the many challenges I faced, I had access to a huge platform of people, of private sector, sponsors, and I wanted to do something with that. So in 2012, I started to set up a group of volunteering where we could go to the schools and give children books. The idea was to give kids books that was about the animals and the planets, so that they would be connected and educate them about the importance of protecting and preserving the environment. But then when we started to go into the schools, I realized that the schools were completely not okay for a child to be. It was unsafe. So how can we provide education? How can we teach them about protecting the environment and keep the planet safe when they are living in such dire conditions? So soon our mandate changed into making sure that every child has equal opportunity so that when they grow up, they can be anything they want, just like the opportunities I got in the Netherlands. Now, with Green Kids, I had no idea how a charity works and how you involve the community. But step by step, with the love we had for the work, it grew into something beautiful. We started to give the children, the schools, a green garden, because if you give them a green place and they play there, when they grow up, they'll protect it. So we started to give them green gardens to create colorful rooms. And it was going great. And for each opening of the schools, we would bring musicians, we would bring dancers, we would bring music, and it just became so popular. It became more popular than my old hit songs. And people loved the activities, and we wanted to continue doing this. But the only reason we could continue was thanks to the volunteers. We had volunteers who helped us reaching the different places, the different towns and villages where all of these schools were in dire need of renovation and help. And I always thought of, it's about the message. I need to raise awareness of what's going on. We need to involve the government, the investors. So we started to invite lots of celebrities with us so that they could share our message on their platform. And this is Nicky Murray from the UK, who also came there so that he could help us with the school renovations. And despite the many, many challenges I faced, especially as a woman, we managed from 2012 until now to renovate 22 schools and provide over 200,000 books to children. Thank you. But that did not mean I was not facing many challenges. This is in Baharka camp. The children in 2017 were escaping the war. They were just running from ISIS side into the Kurdistan region of Iraq. Back then, I was threatened by my former sponsors. Because I refused a man in media, I wasn't allowed to work. I wasn't allowed to have music. I wasn't allowed to continue my work. I faced the worst you can imagine. I faced death threats. I looked death 2 times in the eyes. But the next day, I put my head up high and I went to open the library. What they did with their power is to make sure that the library would be closed within a week. But because I didn't give up, we continued until last year to open 5 libraries in the refugee camps. And we even made it headlines on BBC, and I was invited in a studio. And then we had great organizations in Los Angeles, from London, children from London, sending us books and toys so that we could use art, we could use culture to plant seeds of living together, of peace among the children who were traumatized by war. Now, this is our latest library, and this is one of our smart students who enjoys her English and French classes. Now I go to another part, and that's my feminism part. I stayed for a while in London in 2016, and I got to understand the word feminism, that it's not a bad word, that it's not a revolt against man, that it's about this ancient imbalance, and that we're here just to fix that. I faced so many death threats. I faced years of harassment, from sexual harassment to sexual discrimination, from being boycotted, from working on TV. There was the song Revolution I wrote. This girl is singing it around the world. They're praising her for doing that while I was hiding. I had nothing. I had no money anymore, no team, no sponsors. I was in danger, and I got extremely sick. But what I did have was social media. So I started to share stories of strong women who, just like me, faced challenges in their life based on their gender. So for the past 3 years, since 2016, I share stories of brave women like this Yazidi girl who was sold 15 times, or this 17-year-old girl who goes into the war zone and is covering the war, or this lovely lady who uses art to promote peace, or this woman from Baghdad who has a high degree but sells cookies to survive. I thought I need to do more, so I started to gather stories of young women in the West, in the rest of the world. Now, they're all from the UK here. They were kind enough to share their stories with us. And I made sure that each week I would share 3 stories, one of a local girl, one, let's say, from the UK, and one of an international, recognized, famous woman. Because the idea was, I need to find a way to motivate and inspire the local girl who shared her story, that she's not alone. Now, what I have learned from all of these experiences and all of these challenges I have faced, I have learned that when much is taken away from you as a local activist, as a woman peace builder, there are great ways to tap into the civil society. The civil society might have fewer resources and might look weak, but they access and engage a wide range of activists. So it's important to tap into this. I've learned that local activists are very, very important. And I hope that the international community can support them because they have a tremendous effect on their environment. But they are not hurt and they are facing danger. If you see this was last year, a human rights activist in Basra was killed last year in Iraq. So how can we achieve sustainable peace? How can we achieve peace when our activists are killed? We need our activists more than ever to fight governments, to fight corporates, to fight for climate change, and to fight for equality. This is a local activist with the headscarf from Mosul, and this lovely lady is from Peace Inclusive supporting her. I think that if we want to achieve sustainable peace, we need to work on the inclusive role of women peace builders in the peace building process. It is important. We cannot achieve peace in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and other parts of the Middle East when our women, our activists are secluded from the peace talk table. And through my experience, I've learned that we need to provide political support, and we need to provide technical support, and we need to support especially the women's peace builder with financial support. This is very important. Now, as you can see, this is a picture. I was for hours by myself shouting at soldiers, at an army, because there were ongoing conflict an hour from where I was. Nothing happened. I was all by myself, but then suddenly someone came and was filming me live for social media. And a few hours later, thousands of people joined us. So I guess what I want to say is that activists are really important, especially those who believe in the power of culture and art. These people are important to plant seeds of a peaceful society in the Middle East. And I think if you look at you, wonderful audience here in Brighton, there are so many ways that you can help and support your local activists. And I think one of the important tools is to use your voice, never to underestimate the power of your voice and how important that is. And how important technology for us is in the Middle East, like mobile phones and social media, or a company like PeaceTech that provides data on how for us to move smart and to tap into information that can help us prevent conflict. And I hope you engage more and invest more in technology that can help local activists to work on sustainable peace building. Now, at the end, I want to say that we all face challenges in our lives and learn from those experiences. But what really defines us is how we react to those challenges and what we choose to do with those valuable lessons we learn. So I'm asking you, what will you do for Brighton to tackle air pollution or end homelessness or making sure no one is alone on Christmas? This is all very important to know that you have something, and that is your voice, your community, the civil society, and social media. But at the end, knowing that when you are loud and standing tall above all of your suffering, you can move mountains. Thank you very much. Thank you.